And today in TLC Live, we're going to talk about the second Republican debate and border crisis. And our guest today is Mayra Flores, the first Mexican-born American Congresswoman, and she's running for Congress, District 34th. Also, we're going to have another friend of TLC, Artemio Muniz, attorney and media political analysis. And fitting today for Orlando Sanchez, our dear friend Cynthia Hunt. She's going to be the guest co-host with me today in TLC Live. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to TLC Live. As every Wednesday today, I have the honor and the privilege to have my co-host, beautiful, blonde. For sure, you look much better than Orlando.
Well, thank you to you and Orlando for letting me fill in. I want to be a Latina today, but I can't be. I'm just an Alabama girl who moved to Texas.
Un poquito, no?
Well, I have an accent, but it's not a cool accent.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's a bad accent. But.
So, I know many of you guys know Cynthia Hunt from back in the news in Channel 13.
And Channel 2. We were both back in the news. In
Channel 2 and
yes,
Channel 13?
Channel 13 for the most years, then Channel 2. And then I left to be a mama and have a family. But I'm coming back to journalism now independently to fight for our country and to fight for truth.
So we met, in the street, covering crimes, covering
yes.
hard news back in my time at Univision. And I think you were on Channel 13 back then.
I was.
Yeah, because I left TV in 2012. When did you left TV?
I don't even remember the year off the top of my head.
But I'm sure you left after I left.
But no, before.
Before me?
Before. It was for sure before.
Okay.
But anyway, so we all need to do our part. And thank you to you and Orlando Sanchez and this organization, which is so important to fighting for Texas and fighting for America.
Well, thank you for your time, Cynthia. And we've been meeting different times and talking about politics and conservatives. And we need to fight to keep Texas red and conservative.
We do.
And talking about fighting to keep Texas red and conservative is our dear friend Mayra Flores. Mayra, good morning, my love. It's always
good morning.
A pleasure and honor to have you back.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, Mayra, you are, first of all, I wanted you to give us a spectrum of, you are the first born Mexican congresswoman, but also now you're running again for the same position. So give us an idea of what is going on right now in your campaign and in your life.
Well, yes, I became the first Mexican-born congresswoman ever elected in history in June 14th of 22, and I got to serve in Congress, finished my term in January. Due to redistricting, we were not able to win our reelection. We were serving in one district and running in another district, and now we're 100% focused on the new map, Texas District 34, and we're very excited for what's to come. Our campaign is stronger than ever. We're focused on the kitchen table issues that the people of Texas 34 care about. Unfortunately, they're seeing what the destruction is under the Biden administration and under Vicente Gonzalez. He is in part responsible for the horrible border crisis that we are going through right now in South Texas, and that it's affecting the entire country. He's also responsible for the broken economy where our district and many Americans throughout the entire country are hurting tremendously, living paycheck to paycheck, not able to provide for themselves nor their children. And that's what I'm going to bring back: common sense, secure borders, and strengthen our economy and strengthen parental rights as well. It's so important that we also invest in our children's education and empower them, because I would not be in this position that I am in if it wasn't because of my parents, because of the education that they gave me at home, but also in school. So for me, education is very important, but the right education. And I want our children to grow up with our conservative values that were instilled in us by our grandparents, by our parents. I want those values to live many generations.
Amen.
So, Mayra, one of the important issues And let's start with saying that today is the second debate, the Republican debate. Tonight at 9 o'clock, or I think it's 8 o'clock Central Time, but around 9 o'clock. And it's going to be airing on Fox and also Univision because for the first time they're including another anchor from Univision. She is a Latino black anchor from Univision. So the debate tonight is going to be airing in Fox and Univision. So what is your thoughts about what to expect in the second debate, knowing that we already have the first one? Trump wasn't there, so it wasn't that fun. That's so much fun
to say the
to
least.
watch. Yeah,
And he's not going to be there tonight.
Exactly.
So again, it had super low ratings the first time, and it expected to have low ratings tonight. But what does Mayra think?
Well, I think it's important that, all America gets to see this debate. We have a lot of people here in this country, millions that are Spanish speaking, that are also Americans. And I think it's important that they see our platform and where we stand. No matter, who wins the Republican nominee, we do make a lot more sense that they do. Again, I don't need to tell you what the Biden administration is doing to our community. We feel it every single day. We see it every single day. And I think that it's unfortunate that we had to see, Biden getting elected. And not myself, I always knew what was going to happen. But for those that voted for Biden, now they're seeing that they made a huge mistake and they're not going to be making the same mistake all over again in 2024. I mean, just 2-3 weeks ago, I met with a Hispanic group of women. It was about 50 to 60 women. The majority, over 50 of them, actually voted for President Biden in 2020, and they're not going to be voting for him in 2024. So that tells me that we're going to continue seeing this surge in the Hispanic community towards the Republican Party because they're realizing what America looks like under the Biden administration, under Vicente Gonzalez here in South Texas. And I love to see, Hispanics waking up and realizing that their values align with the Republican Party and that the party that is going to bring economic opportunities to our community is the Republican Party.
Mayra, we want to go to what President Trump has to say about the debate. But first, what are those voters telling you when they say they're going to vote for Trump this time? Like, what are they saying? Because you talk to them the most.
Well, they're saying it's because of the economy. That was the number one issue. Yes, of course, the border situation has gotten out of hand, and every single one of them supports border security because they say, well, what about the people that are here? What about us? This administration only cares about the people that are crossing illegally into our country, but doesn't care about its people that's been here for decades. And we're Americans too, and we have needs. And it makes sense. They're struggling to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage, to pay their gas, to buy groceries. It just makes a lot of sense why they would not want to continue this nightmare under the Biden administration. They have less money in their pockets and they want more money in their pockets. This one lady said, "I'm not a fan of President Trump, but I give him credit where it's due that when he was president, I had more money. And now I want the life that I had before, and I just want someone that does a job, not necessarily that I like." And I said, that's right. A president is there, to do a job and not to be our friend necessarily. Great if you like him, but you don't have to like him to understand that his policies were good for our country and that he strengthened the economy and we had a secure border. Now, a lot of people say that we've never had a secure border and that people have always crossed illegally into our country. Yes, but not in these massive numbers where within 24 hours, we've had 11,000 people cross illegally into our country.
We want to talk more about that in just a minute.
Yeah,
we want to really get your feedback
seen anything
because
like that.
You know more than almost anyone about the border and what is happening to children at the border. But first, let's go to the man himself, former President Trump, on what he thinks about this debate tonight.
And we're at just about 60% already, and we're going up, and we're the only ones going up. They're going down. They're going down, down, down. They ought to stop wasting their time. You know, they're wasting a lot of time with these ridiculous debates that nobody's watching. Their last debate was the lowest rated debate in history.
So, Mayra, he thinks that because they tear apart each other, they tear apart him, that it's bad for our effort to save the country. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I do think that the infighting amongst Republicans need to stop. You know, there's no reason for that. Defend, you know, your stand, and there's no need to attack, you know, the opposition. But you know, I'm not in their position. I know it's difficult to run a Republican primary.
I think we lost Mayra. But so on the topic, I want to bring our guest also, Artemio Muniz. He's an attorney and media political analysis and a dear friend of TLC y un super amigo mío. Artemio, welcome to TLC. We were hearing Mayra Flores talking about this important topic, the debate tonight, the second Republican debate, and we just saw the clip on Trump of his thoughts about the debate. So welcome, and I wanna hear what is your thoughts about it.
Well, thank you for having me today. You know, I think it depends on who you are, right? If you're already a Trump supporter, then definitely the debate is just a waste of time. You're probably going to switch over to whatever President Trump has, because last time he surprised us with that spontaneous Twitter interview with Tucker Carlson.
Tucker, right?
Which was amazing, right? We saw that it was 88 million, I believe, impressions on the video.
I think
Which
271 million by the time it was done.
Wow. Well, there you
That
go,
doesn't mean
right?
everyone watched the whole thing, but certainly more people watched him than watched the debate.
Yeah, and just the idea that the Republican Party, the RNC, is lagging behind on the technology front. I mean, it kind of shows our party infrastructure how we need to catch up, right, to the times. And President Trump finds a way to connect with the base. We saw it in 2000, the last presidency in 2016, the first one, where he was able to go around the media by using Twitter and social media. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Depends on who you are. If you are an open-minded Republican voter and you're looking at, we need to beat the Democrats, liberal Democrats, then you're probably saying, all right, I'm going to watch the debate, but I'm also going to watch to see what Trump does. So it's still open game. President Trump has managed to maintain his lead and, his relevance strongly. Actually, he's become more relevant now, even with the issues in the court system. He's been able to command the presence. So we'll see. I think there are a lot of candidates on the debate stage that sort of take away. We do need to thin it out, and we'll see if it thins out tonight.
But Artemio, in one poll, a respected poll of Republican voters, they said that Trump came in second in the debate that he didn't even attend. So, the voters are coalescing behind Trump's vision for America. And the RNC, you're right, continues to just have these debates that I'm not sure are helping the cause.
We're going to bring Mayra that she disconnected a little bit. So, Mayra, before I know you have a limited time and you have to leave at 11:30. So I want your thoughts on the border crisis. And what do you think about the border crisis, thoughts on the candidates tonight? What is the one that is really, you think, it will be the best or the ideal for what is going on right now in the border?
Well, I think it's ideal for them to focus on the border crisis because we need to continue bringing attention to this problem that is destroying our country. We've never seen anything like that. Like I said earlier, 11,000 people crossed illegally into our country the past 24 hours, and it's only going to get worse because the Biden administration continues to put in place policies that encourage illegal immigration and then rewards illegal immigration. And our Border Patrol agents are getting brutally attacked. Just last night, they found a 2-month-old baby the night before that was abandoned in the middle of nowhere. If it wasn't because of our Border Patrol agents that saved this 2-month-old baby, that baby would have died. And this is not one incident. This is one of many incidents, and the attack on the and the brutal attack on the Border Patrol agent wasn't the first as well. These attacks will continue because we have less agents out in the field and we have more agents processing. So we have to secure the border if we care about national security and the safety of the American people. We have to secure the border. Not only it keeps us safe, but it also keeps children safe as well. The Mexican cartel is making $13 billion a year because of human smuggling. We gotta defund the Mexican cartel, and the only way to do it is by us securing the border and focusing on legal immigration and encouraging people to come here to the United States legally and not illegally. And I feel that this administration makes it easier for people to come here illegally and makes it harder for you to come here to the United States legally. And it's a slap on the face on, migrants like myself that came here legally and migrants that are in line right now waiting for an opportunity to come here to the United States, that have been waiting for 5, 10, 15 years to come here to the United States. It's not right. It's not fair.
And, to make that point more clear, I'm from Colombia, South America. I was born there. I was living there up till I was 25 years. For me to get a visa was very difficult. My parents are here because I brought them. I have a brother. He passed away, but he was able to come here legally, and he was a U.S. citizen also. But I have one brother that lives now in Madrid. 5 times he went to the embassy to get a visa to come here to visit us. A family that we already U.S. citizen. I have family here. I have kids. My parents are U.S. citizen. They live here, and they have denied him 5 times a visa. And he is a business owner. He has a good reputation, and he has, he has all the documentation to come legal to this country just to visit and go back. He lives in Europe right now, so he doesn't need to come here to live here. And 5 times he got the visa denied. But we have every day 1,000 people trying to cross the border so easy. And when people try to go to the embassies in the different countries in Latin America or in other countries, it's so difficult to get a visa, and they ask for a lot of documentation. So something is wrong in this picture.
Absolutely. And we were just talking. They caught Colombian terrorists coming across the border.
The guerrillas.
Yeah, the guerrillas are coming across the border, but her brother cannot legally.
Yeah.
Mayra, we need you back in Congress now.
Well, that's why I'm running to bring common sense back to Congress, secure the border, strengthen our economy, and like I mentioned earlier, strengthening parental rights for me is very important. I'm a mother of 4, and the things that we're seeing in states like California and New York, where parents are losing the custody of their children because they don't support gender ideology, it's insane to me. And if we keep electing, Democrats, far left Democrats like the ones in California, they're going to bring those policies at the federal level, and we got to put a stop to it.
Mayra, you're not only a mother of 4 and an immigrant, but also you are a wife or a Border Patrol agent. So you've been seeing these firsthand.
Thank you. No, I'm forever grateful, for everything my husband is doing. I try not to give him trouble when he comes home because I know he has a much difficult job than I do, so I don't complain because I know how difficult he has it. But God bless him, and God bless all our Border Patrol agents and all our law enforcement, that are working here at the southern border. Customs are doing also an amazing job, and Texas troopers as well, the National Guard. They're all amazing men and women that are protecting our border and doing the best that they can. But, their hands are tied right now because the Biden administration doesn't allow them to enforce our own immigration laws.
Myra, can you talk just briefly about your husband and the other border agents and all of the unaccompanied, the young children crossing this border alone and many crossing with people? The Biden administration did away with DNA testing. The Trump administration was testing children to make sure they belonged to the family. Now we're seeing lots of men with little children, and they're all not the fathers. I mean, what is it like for them, and what are you seeing?
Well, they all claim to be related to the child, but we know that it's not true. A lot of these children come in with a little paper in their pocket with a name, address, and a phone number, and they send these children to these so-called sponsors, family members. 30 days later, they are no longer answering that phone call. They're no longer living at the address that they gave Homeland Security. And right now we have 87,000 cases where we don't know where 87,000 children are at. And we all know that the United States is the number one in child sex trafficking, and Mexico is the number one supplier. And that is something that we in Congress need to put an end. We need to put in place laws that protect these children and put these monsters in prison for the rest of their life. I do not believe we should be giving second chances to child sex traffickers. They should
No.
be in prison for the rest of their life. And that's something that we can do in Congress to protect these children. And our Border Patrol agents are saving children every single day, but they have a lack of manpower, which again, our congressman here in South Texas, Vicente Gonzalez, voted against border security, voted against us hiring more Border Patrol agents, more funding for our Border Patrol agents, and all that is hurting our southern border right now. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in. And he is in part very responsible for what's happening right now in South Texas. And God bless our Border Patrol agents. They're going through a very difficult time right now. We've seen an increase in suicides amongst our Border Patrol agents. I have gone to a handful of funerals in the last few months because of the trauma that they're seeing and being forced to do something that you don't want to do. They're being forced to do things that they never thought that they would be forced to do. And they're not able to enforce the laws that they took an oath to.
And
And
they're on
that's
the front
because of the
lines every
Biden
day of seeing our
administration.
government policies traffic children. Literally traffic children. We saw it come to life in Sound of Freedom. We know it's much worse now. Child trafficking experts. You did the big interview on child sex trafficking. And Yako said it's 3 times that number that we've lost track of at least.
Absolutely.
250,000 children. So
Mayra, I know you have to leave, so call to action, how we can help you to support you and also to help this country.
For everyone to get involved. This election is not about me. This election is not about President Trump or any of the Republican nominees. It's about you. It's about us. This is our country. And I beg you to get involved because the future of our children is in your hands. And 2024 is the most important election of our lifetime. Donate, get involved because this isn't my fight. It's our fight.
Mayra, thank you. Buena suerte. Estamos contigo. And of course, we always support you in TLC and also personal. And we're going to bring you back also next year or maybe before to continue supporting your campaign.
that's right. We all support
Thank you. And thank
We
you for
need
all that you do, TLC. Thank you for all
Gracias,
that you
Mayra.
do. God bless you.
God bless you too. So I want to bring my friend Artemio Muniz back. You're going to stay with us till the end of the show, Artemio. We just hear Mayra talking about the border crisis. She is seeing this firsthand. I wanted you to tell us, because you are not only an attorney, but also a media political analysis. How do you think the media is been handling this situation?
So, and I'll talk from a personal experience. My parents were illegal immigrants, right? And in the conservative world, I've always talked about how Ronald Reagan granted amnesty to my parents, and I'm a proud American, proud Republican, proud conservative. Uh, you know, I look at what's happening in the media, and I understand they have a job to do. They've got to get their ratings up, but they love to divide on this issue, right? If you're on one side of the issue, they call you a racist. If you're on the other side of the issue, right, you're open borders and you don't care, you're helping the cartels. And, I think a lot of conservatives, when you listen to them, I'll give you an example. President Trump, when he was running for president in Austin, he asked the audience when he was with Sean Hannity, he said, "How many of you would support a guest worker program?" And about 95% of the audience stood up and clapped. And I realized then that sometimes the media does a lot of, they bring awareness, but they don't bring the solutions, right? And that's up to us as the grassroots to come up with the policy solutions. And I'm glad that's what TLC does, right? Y'all bring the information to the grassroots, to voters, and then hopefully from
Yeah.
the ground up we can come up with solutions.
Well, I mean, absolutely, we have to come up with solutions. Now, let's listen to what former President Trump is saying about the border actually this week at a rally in South Carolina.
And we had the best border, the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. There's never been a country with a border like this. Not even third world countries, not even banana republics. No country would allow this to happen to them. No country.
Okay, would you agree with that?
I agree. And look, I didn't vote for President Trump, but I agree 1,000%. And here's the secret sauce that President Trump brought to the table. First off, he brought strength, right? And for our country, we're compassionate. We will always be the most compassionate country. We're always trying to help every nation. You saw President Bush when he called Iran the axis of evil, but then Iran had an earthquake. We sent supplies and doctors. Americans always step up to the plate. But what did President Trump do to help solve this issue temporarily is that he put pressure on Mexico, he put pressure on Guatemala, he put pressure on Nicaragua, El Salvador, and he said, "Hey guys, if you don't help with this effort, I'm going to cut off loans, I'm going to cut off aid." And guess what? Mexico sent their military to their southern border, and you saw a drop in illegal immigration, and you saw a drop in a lot of asylum and refugee cases too. So I think it's important to see that sometimes the conservative approach of representing what is America first works, and you've got to be vocal. You got to have a strong leader that tells the other world leaders, "Hey, you need to step up to the plate. If not, we're not just going to hand out gifts to you, especially tax dollar gifts from American tax dollar gifts." And we saw that where Mexico was sending its military to the southern border. Now you've got Biden that has a totally different approach, and it's really screwing up our country. So I think when you look at what President Trump did, he has a right to claim that he actually was able to change the game when it comes to how America handles its immigration crisis.
Well, President Trump also has a lot to say because he believes, like you, that a lot of the people who are crossing this border right now are not crossing it for the right reasons, right? We know that we are getting some troublemakers. We are getting some criminals. We are getting some cartels. And so President Trump is also saying he wants to send all these children back to their families who've been trafficked. He's also talking pretty tough about deporting a lot of the people who've crossed illegally. They think it's up to 10 million. It could be between 10 and 15 by the time Biden leaves office or by the time his first term is over. And so he had more to say on this issue, and we want to get your feedback.
On my first day back in the White House, I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration and begin the largest deportation operation in American history. And I will also use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries, and that will be done immediately. They want to go home. They want to go home. Horrible what they've done to children.
Artemio, we hear former President Trump, but also we have a lot of other candidates that are going to be tonight at the second Republican debate. What do you think, or what is your thoughts about the way that they're being addressing these issues? Each candidate, not only former President Trump.
Well, I think when you hear this rhetoric that President Trump is using, this is where I get concerned as a Republican. I look at Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, even some parts of Texas. But on the presidential election, these battleground states, New Mexico, where you have a large Hispanic population, mostly of Mexican heritage, that look at the immigration issue as important. They know people that are illegal immigrants, maybe family members, maybe fellow church members, neighbors. And when you talk about enacting the largest deportation action in the history of America, now you're touching on an area where, historically speaking, it's been a tough issue when it comes to the GOP and the Hispanic community voters, registered voters. So that's where I worry about. I think President Trump needs to clarify, what's the guideline? Because if you're talking about deporting cartel, if you're talking about deporting criminals, violent criminals, hey, we're all on board. Even illegal immigrants who work in restaurants and construction sites will tell you, hey, sign me up. Just give me the process, right? I think there are a lot of people out there that have worked hard, and we can look even during the COVID era where we know about illegal immigrants receiving Homeland Security clearance as essential workers to be able to work the fields and deliver goods while everything was shut down. Are you going to deport those guys? So, we've got to step back here as conservatives and really come up with a solution that clarifies, how we're going to approach this. And when we do blanket statements, when we say we're going to, just deport, 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 I think that's where we lose. That's the reason why Harris County no longer is Republican. We used to be a Republican county in 2010, and we lost it. And I've always pointed out here, it's because we have a large Hispanic population, actually the plurality now. And look, the immigration issue is one of those emotional, heartfelt issues. And I'm sitting here as a Republican conservative. I'm telling you that the Republican Party, when it comes to that side, the enforcement side, they still haven't clarified who are they going to deport, and are they going to deport everybody? I know people in the grassroots that will tell you with a straight face that they want to deport everybody, and that's not realistic. So,
I think they're talking about the
kinda,
10 million that have come in the Biden years. They're talking about, and it is going to be hard. But I mean, what do? You just keep letting them stay. I mean, what do you do? We have 10 million would be a couple of our smaller states combined, more people. What do you do?
So we know we've in the grassroots at the Republican state convention, we've suggested a guest worker program for those that have proven themselves with no criminal record, can speak English, can pass a test, that have worked hard for years here. Those are the ones that I think we should accept. And look, they've shown equity. They've shown that they will contribute to this country. I'm not saying don't deport anybody. I think eventually you're going to have some type of enforcement deal, and somebody's going to have to draw the line. And I think if you draw the line strict and you go for immigrants that work hard and that's shown that hey, no criminal record, they live in peace here and they contribute, I think you're going to get a lot of support, even from the
But
Hispanic
Artemio,
community.
we're talking about this like this is strictly a Latino issue. It's not. They're reporting like over 100,000 military-age Chinese men come across this border. There are 150 nations that have come across this border. There are a lot of troublemakers, known terrorists. They've caught a few. Some have slipped through. So this is not, it's certainly not a Latino issue, right? Just a Latino issue.
Agreed.
It is much bigger. And not all of these people are coming because they want the American dream. Some are, and we all have compassion for that. But this lawlessness, open border, children being trafficked, it's going to be hard. But where do you draw the line? Why are there so many young Chinese men coming across the border? You keep hearing people thinking that they're implanting people, and nothing is beneath the Chinese Communist Party. Let's be honest. Nothing is beneath them. This open border is a danger to us all.
I agree. If you look at what happened in Houston last year, we heard about the Chinese embassy burning documents, right? I've through contacts of mine, I've heard of secret police from China coming over and threatening American citizens of Chinese heritage because of their views.
I have friends who are American citizens that won't speak out because of what the CCP will do to their family at home. That's how scared they are of them.
So here's what I want to bring up, right? So as an American, I look at what's happening to the United States. I look at the Chinese situation. I look at how they're buying land next to military bases. I look at the cartels we know who they are. And right. I get worried. Look, we don't have unlimited resources, and we can't focus on everything. And I worry when conservatives focus on the worker. And I'm like, let's go after the ones we know that are bad. We know the Chinese are, let's fix the visa system, because If you're
Right.
Chinese, you have actually an easier chance of receiving a visa than a Mexican. There are only 50,000 visas per year if you're from Mexico. Even Mayra said she's got family in line, and she said 15 years. That's too much. Yet, if you're from China and some other countries, it's much easier and faster. And so the visa system's messed up, the asylum refugee system's messed up. Now you've got a lot of immigrants that are walking to the border and just handing themselves over, and they know this. And you've got guys here that have been here for 10, 15 years working, uh,
Yes.
no welfare. They speak English. They got kids in DACA, and there's no solution for them. Yet they're
Yeah.
working and they're contributing. Yet you got guys showing up every day, just handing themselves over, get money, get a phone, get the tracking system, and never show up to court. So the system's all messed up. So, some we live in that reality. I think as voters, especially being from Houston, here we are with the large Hispanic population. I look at Texas, I look at Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico. These are states that used to be red Republican, and sometimes for lack of a clear message and a clear policy proposal to solve the immigration issue, we lose those areas, and that's what
Yeah.
I worry about. 2016 was amazing. President Trump proved me wrong. I was concerned that what he said on the whole Mexican thing was going to cost us the election. He showed that at that time he could win it without really, he had another route. But in 2024, I hope that we can win it, without being clear on the immigration issue. But I will say, if anybody can fix the issue, I believe it's President Trump. He's got the power of the microphone, and one thing I've learned is that he has the trust of the conservative base. And I know that conservatives are compassionate. I saw it in that meeting in Austin with Sean Hannity, where they clapped for guest worker program, and that told me everything. They
Right.
trust President Trump. If President Trump says that the border's secure, they're going to trust him. If he says the program works, they're going to trust him. And that's key, because right now, a lot of people, even Democrats, they don't trust the government.
Well, Artemio, here at the Texas Latino Conservatives, Orlando always say, and Orlando is the founder, as you know. Orlando always say the Republicans are being failing to send the right message. They haven't had that connection. That the Democratic Party has been doing a great job, and that's why we are how we are right now. Not only in counties like Harris County, but the big cities are along the Texas and the states that traditionally they were red before, and now the big cities are not anymore, because the Democratic Party are been doing the great job connecting with people, something that the Republican Party haven't done right. So
You're right.
not only saying that, but also TLC promote and talk about something that we call Family Stabilization Act. That meaning is something very similar as a worker program and reuniting family and give a chance to stay here in this country legal people that is been working for so many years, always paying taxes, never have a criminal record, and they've been doing what is right for this country. So they deserve the chance to stay. And also we conduct a poll that we pay a lot of money for that, and saying that most of the people in this poll, they were saying we are in favor, and this is Republican people, conservative people, they were in favor of those kind of programs, not with the citizenship path, but having them legal, working, because they haven't break the law. They're been contributing to this country, paying taxes, contributing to the society and the community, and they're good for this country. So something has to happen. I don't know who's going to do it, but every time that immigration, because the system is so broke, every president is bringing the topic and saying we need to fix the system because it's broke. We haven't have immigration reform in decades. I don't know. I don't even know how many decades. We haven't have any. So every time that they try to bring a solution,
Yes.
something happen, for the worst.
And we
Look at
could
what
have done it after 9/11.
Look at
and
what
Bush
Biden
failed.
did.
But after 9/11,
Yeah, Bush
we
was
were
trying.
united. Bush was the governor of Texas. I covered a serial killer coming back across from Mexico who was caught by Border Patrol on the FBI's most wanted list and released. He killed a pediatric neurologist in West U. He killed a preacher and his wife in Weimar, other people. Bush knew when he was governor how dangerous our border was, how broken our immigration system was. He knew the beautiful families and the immigrants we have in Texas.
Yeah.
He knew, and he didn't fix it. The one time, and that I hate to be just so bitter, we've got to look forward, but the one time we could have fixed it and done it right was after 9/11. And we just made it harder to get around the airport.
Yeah.
That's correct. And some of the frustration I have is the lack of history from our own party. When Bush, if you remember, he actually obtained 49% of the Hispanic vote in Texas when he ran for president. Never been. I mean, everybody talks about the recent growth in Zapata County, Starr County. In the media, they say that South Texas is becoming red. Well, if you look at the numbers, Starr County, you have 19,000 voters. We're in Houston. I got more than 19,000 people in my own neighborhood off 59 over here. So it's different when you look at the big level, big major league game of states versus what's happening in small areas that are being promoted by the party. That's another problem, that the party can't do it. It's going to have to be grassroots, ground up. TLC's on the forefront. Orlando's been on the forefront pushing this, and that's why I support Orlando. And I've been working within the platform committee. I've been in the grassroots movement. I also do national media. But the reality is that if we don't come up with a solution, now here's what I wish we could touch on as grassroots is we can go out there and be tough on border security. We can tell people, first, let's secure the border, and let's do whatever it takes. If it's military, if it's labeling cartel organizations as terrorist organizations, let's do it. Whatever we need to do to secure the border, then we will show compassion. And I'll tell you what, when you talk to the Hispanic community, they understand that. They just want to know, is there a solution for my cousin, for my mom, for my church, fellow church goer? Is there a solution for that one person that I know that if there's a strict test, that there's a way? Because they're here working anyways. And I point to the COVID era. I knew people that received clearance from Homeland Security as essential workers, and they were illegal immigrants. And it's like, wait a minute, we're on TV as a party attacking the workers, yet they're the ones getting COVID, touching the fruit and the vegetables and delivering food items. So there's a disconnect there, right? When you go to West Texas, I remember at the convention, some of these ranchers will stand up and say, this is America, and we need to deport everybody. You come to find out that their ranch hands are all illegal immigrants. And there's a disconnect there. Like, we've got to wake up. And I think Texas is the home where we can figure it out and then bring it to the rest of the nation. But it begins with TLC. It begins with us and the grassroots, and I think we got to talk about it. And there is a divide. There is a difference. And it's controversial what I'm about to say, but there is a difference between immigrants that come over and hand themselves over and don't want to work and those that are working. And I think that's the line we've got to draw. That's the winning line, in my opinion. And we got to draw it because the Democrats won't draw it. They're promising citizenship. They're promising open borders. Mm-hmm. If we promise a worker program with no citizenship and we say, hey, this is the criteria, the tough criteria. Show us you want to be an American. Show us you can. Prove to us that you've done it. You're going to have people jumping through hoops of fire to do it. But somehow the party refuses to draw those lines. I think we got to start drawing the lines.
So, Cynthia, let's talk about this.
Well, the Texas GOP, Artemio, is asking the governor to call a special session about the border and about the Colony Ridge. You know about Liberty County?
I do.
And can you talk about this? But it's basically one of the big donors to Governor Abbott has bulldozed an area down about the size of Washington, D.C. in Liberty County, just outside of Houston, and he's selling land at high interest rates. And it's basically become the biggest enclave of illegal immigrants in the country, right outside here on our doorstep. And the problem, there's many problems. They've had to build 3 new elementary schools in the ISD there, Cleveland ISD. So the taxpayers are being taxed and taxed and taxed because their children, they've gone through, and I wrote this down, I could not believe this. It is like K through 12 10 years ago was 3,500 students. K through 12 now, 13,000 students. But there's also stash houses where they believe the cartels are working in there. And we've all heard stories. I have a friend with land in South Texas near the border, and they had to hide in their deer lease because of people walking across with assault weapons that were not trying to stay in America. They look like cartel. So they basically think the cartel is running this little development just outside of Houston in Liberty County. So what do you say to that?
So what I will say is, I grew up similarly in Houston. Back in the day off Stella Link, there used to be these projects, apartments that now they've been demolished. And, there were Vietnamese refugees, Mexican, Salvadoran. Again, my parents being illegal immigrants, and it was rough. I remember people being killed out in the field right there by 610, the loop, and the cops would be there almost every weekend looking for dead bodies. You had all sorts of things going on. So I understand the danger when you have what appears to be out of control, unregulated developments. But I want to point out that we need to focus on going after the cartel, right? The cartel is always going to show up to anywhere there's a lack of order, a lack of rule of law.
Which is America right now, a lack of order, a lack of rule of law.
Right. And that's the thing, right? When you look at the border right now, for example, who's making all the money transporting the people? It's the cartels. They're making 4,000 to 5,000 a head a person. Mm-hmm. Right, and they're making them carry over the drugs, right? And when they get
and the
here,
children,
the trafficking, and when they get here to Houston or San Antonio or Dallas, they call the family members and say, "Hey, I know you already gave 5,000, but guess what? If you want to see your family member, you got to give us another 3,000." Mm-hmm. So it's out of control. So because we have a lack, well, first off, because we lose elections as Republicans, we pay the price. We got to win the presidential election. We've got to at all costs, and that's why the process is important. Whether it's going to be President Trump or somebody else, but we got to figure out who's going to be our alpha, and we got to get behind them, and we got to win the presidential. The second thing we got to do is have clear, concise policy that wins the hearts and minds of the majority, right? And I think we should include those Hispanic voters that Bush used to have, right? And I think we sort of forgotten that blueprint, and we got to go back to those days. And you look at something like Colony Ridge, it's a great opportunity for Abbott or even the county enforcement to go in there, clean house with the cartel, right? Now, if you're going to start regulating, who can buy a house, and it's a losing issue. We saw it in Farmers Branch a few years ago where they tried to pass.
I do think we should regulate and stop Chinese from buying farmland. We've all heard that story.
That's a national security.
Absolutely. That's a national security risk, right?
That's an organized effort by a communist nation that wants to undermine our country. To me, that's a clear national security issue. That one, I applauded Governor Abbott when he stepped in and stopped that sale. And look, right. You got to look at the Russians too. We have real threats, serious threats out there that I feel sometimes like we're not paying attention to as a base. But we got to pay attention to the Chinese. We saw what happened with the Houston embassy here, where they were burning documents, and they shut it down because we're on to them. But when it comes to the immigration issue, I think you got to secure the border, and you got to be strict, military. I think you do label cartel organizations as terrorist organizations, and you got to put pressure on Mexico. They got to step in. We just saw the leaks of documents where we find out that the Mexican generals are involved, right? And so the corruption is just crazy in Mexico, and we got to address that.
Artemio, wait, I got to get this right. You didn't vote for Trump before? You sound just like him when you talk about these policies.
Well, you got to, and I don't want to go over ashes, but I did have serious problems with the way he came out, the comments he made about Mexicans. And it's not about, it's a tough, because I think we got to repair it. President Trump, I believe, will repair it if he becomes a candidate. President Trump.
So now you believe in him.
Well, I
You
believe
believe in him and
in
the grassroots, which, by the way, Artemio,
and the
that is
grassroots.
where
Yes,
most conservatives are. We're with TLC, we're with the grassroots. We are not with the hierarchy of the Republican Party. We are not with those guys. Do you understand? We are exactly
understood.
in line with what you guys think. And I think there's a lot of consensus here. And I think Abbott and everybody else better start listening to TLC and grassroots groups, because we are coming to power in the grassroots, because we're not going to take what the RNC and the Uniparty has done to our country anymore.
I agree. That's and again pointing to the grassroots mentality, right? We're not the Democrat Party. Democrat Party has super delegates. They
Yes,
anoint people.
they
It's
do
really
anoint.
a puppet show when they have their executive committee meetings. Republican Party still has real people show up at executive committee meetings at the state convention. They serve on the and they push their message and their concerns up to the top. And the primary still means a lot in the Republican Party. So I agree. We got to come up with solutions within the grassroots. So far on immigration, I have not seen the solutions. And really, it's up to us. There is a vacuum. We've got to step up and do it. Now, on President Trump, I believe that at this point in history, if he wins the primary, which it looks like he will, he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to adjust a little bit. And at this point, I'll take a President Trump over Biden or anybody on the Democrat side because it's that important. I also want to see the President Trump that I saw speaking at that Hannity event in Austin, which I thought was amazing. I know there are a lot of Republicans. Scratch that. There are a lot of organizations like Fair, Numbers USA, CIS. They're the ones pushing the Colony Ridge story right now. Those guys want to deport everybody, and they don't care whether the Republican Party wins or not. So we got to be careful on our rhetoric. If you look at the CIS group, they're the ones that push the Colony Ridge story, and what they'll do is anytime any cartel activity or anybody gets busted for drugs, right, in the area, they'll tie it into Colony Ridge. The last article I saw, somebody was busted for cocaine. I believe it was $650,000 street value of cocaine, and they said it's 20 minutes from Colony Ridge. Well, to the person in Pennsylvania, to the person in Florida, they don't understand that 20 minutes in the Houston area. I'm in Katy, right? I'm in Humble. I'm in Sugarland. So it's really disingenuous to tie it all to Colony Ridge. These organizations, if you study them, all they want to do is deport everybody. They don't care if the GOP wins or loses or if conservatives win or lose. All they care is about one issue. So we've got to come up with a solution that wins, right? At the end of the day, it's 50 plus one. I hope the grassroots somehow, South Texas, West Texas, the urban area of Houston can all come together as conservatives and come up with a solution to this. And I think President Trump has the microphone to just sweep all the obstacles. I do give him credit for that. He's got the microphone, and if he's able to come up with a clear path to how to solve this issue, which first off, secure the border. If he says the border's secured, conservatives will trust him, and I think that's key to this whole problem.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, we're running out of time. Artemio, call to action. What people can do? We need to pay attention. We need to get informed, because not only 2024 presidential elections are coming up, but also we have elections in November, local elections. And
Absolutely.
that's also
and there's
very
still time
important.
to register to vote. And there's a lot of citizens who aren't voting who need to register and vote.
So call to action, Artemio.
So I believe, especially on the border security immigration issue, if you believe it's an important issue, I want to ask everybody, encourage your local party, your local organizations to hold debates, hold forums. Let's
call the governor, call your representative.
Let's push the issue. But I really want you to start having within our own group and movement. Let's talk about solutions. What do we need to do? Let's get the discussion going, because if we don't do it at the grassroots, the elected officials aren't going to move, right? They're worried about their primary. They don't want to risk anything. They've got they don't move until they have to. So we have to get this discussion going, and that's why I'm glad TLC is holding this podcast, because this is the way people hear about the issue, and maybe get them thinking about it and get them active. Get involved in your local party, and make sure you go visit your the candidate and say, hey, I need you to stand for this or that. But this is the only way we're going to get action.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Artemio,
Orlando's vision, your vision, all of you, the vision that you're doing. You guys are an important part of saving our state and saving our nation.
Artemio, thank you so much for being with us. Of course, share this video in your social media so that way we can spread the word. Gracias, amigo, y nos vemos pronto. Espero tenerte muy pronto otra vez aquí en TLC.
Claro que sí. Thank you for having me today, ladies.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching TLC Live. We're going to go to our website, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. Please go and make a donation supporting us to help the Texas state to keep conservatives. Also, we have our Leadership Latino class coming up in January, at the end of January, so you can register. Yesterday we have our staff meeting, and I was so happy hearing that we already having people register for Leadership Latino. Remember that Leadership Latino is a class that is going to tell you and help you and teach you how to, from A to Z, how to run for office, to get involved in the community, to be a leader in your community, because that's what we need. We need people that make their voice heard in their community, and Texas Latino Conservatives is doing through Leadership Latino. It's a program that everybody in the state can come here to Houston. It's going to be here in Houston at no cost, and also we provide for a certain amount of transportation, and also we give them a night at the hotel.
I can't recommend this high enough. To have the best people train you on how to take your country back, how to really save the republic. What you guys are doing is a big deal for Texas and the nation. So you guys need to sign up and need to come. I need to come and sit there and be
you need to.
trained by you guys, because what you guys have done these trainings all over the state.
Yeah.
And they are they're incredible, and they're really teaching people to stand up for conservative American values.
And now you can help us also with the media training, because part of the training is also give people media training, people that are running for office, because media training, as we know, is very important when you run for office.
Right.
And where you do anything in life, either if you are a business owner or you just leader of your community, media training is very important. How to speak in public, how to speak on camera, how to deal with reporters. That is not easy.
But I've seen your training, and it is incredible. Really incredible. And what you guys have done, just the results of TLC and what TLC has done since Orlando Sanchez had this vision. Mm-hmm. And it's so important. So I thank you. It's been an honor to be here. And I just thank you for letting me be a small part of TLC.
No, thank you so much for helping us and for filling for Orlando.
There's no fill-in for Orlando Sanchez.
Well, it's very hard to fill his shoes.
That's right. That's right. So, but thank you so much for everything you're doing.
No, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching us today. Please like this video, share this video, and help us to spread the word. Nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao.